Okay, so now we're going to just go ahead and install Thesis2. Now this is the site that we're developing. It's T2 Lesson 6 of BYOB tutorial. And if we come over to the dashboard of the site, so this is, just a default installation of WordPress 3.5. It doesn't have anything in it. It's a completely empty install, and it has WordPress 3.5, and that's it. So what we're going to do is come over here to Thesis and download. And I'm just going to go ahead and download Thesis2. Going to accept the terms of service. No, maybe I didn't accept the terms of service. There we go. Okay, and with this downloaded now, what I'm going to do is move it into my local file system. Now, if you have followed along with the first 5 episodes of this series, you know that I teach a system of synchronizing your local file system with your remote file system. So now that I've downloaded this, I'm going to move it to my local file system, which in this case is in my documents and is in the My Business Websites. And then under downloads, I'm just going to paste that there. Now I'm going to rename it too, because I already had copies here, so it had this extra little thing added. That extra little thing will prevent it from installing correctly. So it should just be straight Thesis zip like this. So now that I've added it there, now I'm going to come over and install it. And so you install it just like you would install any other theme. That is, you go to Appearance and Themes, Install Themes, and then select Upload. And I'm going to upload this from my download location, so from where I just stored it. So My Business Websites downloads, my copy of that, and install it. And Thesis2 does not work with this live preview, so I wouldn't bother with that. Just select Activate. And that's it. Thesis2 has now been installed on your site. And now, actually, if we come over and take a look at the site itself, now you can see it looks completely different than it used to, right? It used to have the old, it used to have 2012 on here, and now it just has the Thesis2. And those of you who are familiar with the original version of Thesis note that it looks very similar to the old Thesis did. And this is the Thesis Classic Skin. So it has installed the Thesis Classic Skin and added it to the site, and that's what we're looking at right now. Okay, so now that we've installed Thesis2, let's take a look at, or let's do a little tour of Thesis2. We're going to start the tour from the dashboard, because the way you get to Thesis is off of the Thesis menu here on the left-hand side of your admin. And these are the quick access menus. We're going to start off with Thesis Home. The Thesis Home really is sort of your starting place for all the work that you're going to do. You probably spend almost all of your time, or 90% of your time, in the skin editor, but everything really starts here. And there's a little introductory material here that is worth looking at. And there's some little message that shows up here differently each time. So a little hint on what you can do here. Gracie asks, is it possible for the Agility Skin to work with Thesis2? Gracie can only work with Thesis2. The Agility Skin can't work with anything else but Thesis2. So anyway, this is the Thesis Home, and this is the navigation menu essentially for Thesis Home. You've got the site, which has settings pages that affect the overall site, right? These are independent of your skin, and so you can set these things and they won't change when you change skins. And we'll talk about what those are here in a few minutes. Then you have the Skins tab, which includes a Select the Skin, which is where you can install your skins and choose which one you want to show, and then the Skin Editor, which is really the meat of this whole system. Then you have boxes, and we'll talk about boxes and packages here in a few minutes, but essentially a box is like a plugin, except that the box reuses Thesis code so that it makes it more efficient to run. And packages are also like plugins, but they're like styling plugins, and these things only get loaded when the administrative side of the site is loaded, so they don't get loaded whenever a web page happens. Generally speaking, every regular WordPress plugin gets loaded every time a page is loaded, but Thesis is designed to set aside packages so they don't get loaded with a page load, which means it makes the page load that much quicker and that much more efficient. Then you've got the view the site, which just takes you over to your site. And then you've got the More button. And the most important aspect of this More button is just your version number. If you ever wonder what version of Thesis you're running, you just come over here to the More button and hover over it, and you'll see what version you're running. We are running 2.0.3.1. Okay, so let's take a look at the site menu. The site menu includes 4 other menus under it. And first is the HTML head. And these are all the things that go inside of the HTML head tag. And at the moment, you can just ignore all of this information. This is a little bit more technical than you need to worry about at the moment, and it's pretty much set up for you already in a way that is going to work just fine. But to the extent that you want to do something advanced and want to rearrange the head tag of each of your HTML pages, this is where you would do it. Then we're going to be talking about tracking scripts when we talk about how to use Google Tools, but this is where you'll enter your tracking scripts information. The same thing is true for your 404 page. You can designate a specific page and therefore customize that page as your 404 page. This gives you full control over what your 404 error page looks like. And then your homepage SEO, we'll talk extensively about SEO and SEO tools in Thesis and how to use that here, but your homepage SEO is set here. The next thing we have is our skins menu, and the first aspect of the skins menu is the select skin, and this is where you're going to upload skins and where you can choose which skin is going to be active. And then you have the skin editor, which we're going to talk about extensively here in a few minutes, but this is where all the real action happens. Next is your boxes menu. Boxes menu starts off with just the select boxes, and again, we'll talk about this in a later lesson because we'll install boxes in a couple of weeks. But this is where you'll upload the boxes and activate boxes and that kind of stuff. And in that regard, it's very much the same as a select skin. Same thing is true for packages. Packages have this system where you can upload a package and activate it, and you'll be doing that here. Now, there are boxes and packages that may create menus for you, and so there may be additional menus that show up down here, as well as additional menus under skins. And in fact, the Agility Nude skin creates a menu item which will show up down here, and you'll see in just a moment. But that's pretty much your set of menu items. Now we may as well just take a quick look at the skin editor here as well. Let's see, let's allow pop-ups. This is something that's important. You want to allow pop-ups here because one of the things Thesis does is it creates this canvas, and the canvas is a pop-up, and the canvas will show you changes that you're making in real time. So you can see what it looks like when you change a color or something like that, or change a font style, or change something before you actually make the change. Right? Before you make the change on your site, you can see what it looks like here on your canvas. Now the easiest way to use this is to have 2 monitors, and you just drag this one over to your other monitor, and you make your changes over here, and you can see them represented on your monitor. But obviously I can't record 2 monitors, so I'm keeping my canvas here in front. Okay, so the skin editor has essentially 4 parts. The first part is the HTML editor, and this is sort of that drag and drop place where you construct your templates. It has the CSS editor where you will set styles for different aspects of your site. It has the images section where you can upload images that are going to use inside of your skin. And this is only for skin specific images, right? You won't use this to add images to your posts or pages. Really, you're primarily going to use this just for background images. And then it has a manager, and the manager lets you back up your skin and import skin data and restore default skin information, that kind of stuff. So this is your skin manager, and those are all of the elements of the Thesis skin editor. And we're going to talk about these things extensively throughout the course of this.